and Chameleon shows up to take on the Black Cat.
Okay.
Having followed him here, Miles finds out that his
Too much
uncle
has
is
happened.
the problem.
Whoa, okay. Oh, me, I do it too much now. I hate to be a douchebag, but there is way too much happening in the final act. Chameleon, Prowler, Hobgoblin, the goons, like Daredevil, there's just too much happening now. At the time, this is the greed described in Bible can be applied to many things. One of which that would hold one of the more accurate representations would be the Spider-Man fandom. I'm pretty sure at this point Spider-Man has the most superhero movies out of every other hero, right? It's between him and Batman, and I wanna say
My source is I made it the fuck up.
I don't know if this qualifies as the sin greed or gluttony. Well, let me tell you better, I will keep succumbing and Marvel titties when it comes to more Spider-Man content. And it appears I'm not the only one, because recently the Black Alien 001 has uploaded a new video called How I Would Write Spider-Man 5. Even though we have just watched the greatest Spider-Man movie come out, we want more.
Spider-Man Brand New Day is one of the biggest and most successful movies of all time, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man is not coming to an end anytime soon.
Facts.
Spider-Man 5 is on the way, but where should they take the story?
God,
well,
this is
in
such a
this video,
beautiful
I'll
shot.
be giving my general idea for what I'd like Spider-Man 5 to look like, but it's most certainly not made out of thin air. There are a few things we need to consider. The biggest one comes from the ending of Brand New Day, which teases Avengers Secret Wars, a movie that will thoroughly shake up the MCU.
He has to
so
predict
before I go over what
Doomsday
I'd like
and Secret
Spider-Man
Wars
5
in this
to be,
movie.
I do first have to predict how Secret Wars will end. Secret Wars is the name of two different comic book events, and while one will most certainly be more important than the other to influence the plot, the other one will
definitely
be
be
just
both
as
of them,
important
though.
for the Spider-Man movie specifically.
Especially, because of the symbiote stuff, the first one's going
The
to be very
2015
important.
version of Secret Wars will be the main influence. The story begins with the end of the multiverse, with one world built by pieces of other worlds throughout the multiverse, created by Dr. Doom. This world, which will undoubtedly be the setting of Secret Wars,
I'm gonna destroy that entire world myself.
As Battle World, which is where Spider-Man was tracked to in the end credit scene. In the comics, the events of Secret Wars take place 8 years later, meaning that Ladverion existed for 8 years. But I have a feeling that they will not be going down that route to simplify things to happen just one after.
I'm not gonna lie, I think Secret Wars is one of the most large comic runs of all time. I have read it. I kind of was confused, to be honest. I didn't really enjoy it that much. So Secret Wars, even though it was cool, I don't know. I didn't like it that much.
In Endgame, the 1984 Secret Wars follows a godlike being named the
I read
Beyonder,
this one.
creating the original battle world and bringing various heroes and villains in to make them battle each other.
That sounds awesome. I'm gonna read this.
This inspired the comic that inspires the movie, but also in that original event, Peter Parker found a weird black goo that turned into his new black suit, and we all know where that went. I think
this is interesting because symbiote is already in the MCU technically.
Secret Wars is the perfect time to give him the symbiote suit after his main suit is destroyed. Secret Wars will then lead into a soft reboot of the universe, which I won't pretend to predict every aspect, but one thing I think we can say for certain, or rather almost for certain, is that the Earth 828 version of the Fantastic Four will be incorporated into the mainline universe, and the timeline will be somewhat streamlined, maybe with a few changes here and there. The Fantastic Four being in the MCU is important, because I would like for them to be included in the next Spider-Man movie. It's become clear now that every MCU Spider-Man...
That's fair, but I feel like the cast would be too loaded at that point. Daredevil, Black Cat, and the Fantastic Four? That's a bit too many characters to me.
With the idea being that
I want to see a Fantastic Four movie where Spider-Man is a side character, and a Spider-Man movie where Fantastic Four are the side characters. It doesn't make sense.
Of a larger universe,
like that would be more fun.
Utilize it. Each one contains other MCU characters, from Iron Man and Captain America in Homecoming to Nick Fury and the Skrulls in Far From Home,
got Daredevil
Doctor Strange in No Way Home,
in the next
and now
movie.
Hulk, Punisher, the Hand, and Jean Grey in Brand New Day. Brand New Day specifically brought together a character from Universal, a character from the TV shows, obviously Spider-Man is Sony, a character from a movie that released a year prior, and a character from a franchise that hasn't even begun yet. Anything
that's
is
very
possible.
fair. Yeah, that's a valid point. I guess it wouldn't be overblown.
Are the Fantastic.
I definitely trust Distin to be able to pull this off. The next movie being just Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, that would be amazing too. But I'm a Daredevil glacier through and through, so I would love to see Matt and Peter like properly interacting.
Who have a great relationship with Peter in the comics that I would like to see, movie, but
That would be
specifically
amazing.
Human Torch and Mr. Fantastic.
Yep.
While the
Facts.
Thing and
Facts.
the Invisible Woman maybe could appear in a different movie. Maybe we could split up the Fantastic Four into two different projects. Then there is Daredevil. Since
There we
it's
go.
about time we
Yep.
see him and Spider-Man
About
teaming
damn
up against something
time.
other than a brick.
My
Another
favorite duo in the
constant is
comics. I can't
supporting
believe you haven't
cast.
seen
It
them
seems
already.
possible for Brand New Day to move away from Ned and MJ and introduce Harry, Gwen, or other classic Spider-Man characters in a brand new cast. But they clearly cemented these two as a part of this franchise's core trio. A trio that I think many people show up to these movies literally just for them, so I think it's really smart that they do not move away from them. And obviously Tom Holland and Zendaya are married, so they're going to stick together.
Good.
However, their memories are quite complicated. My take on the ending of Brand New Day is that the spell is absolutely still set in stone. Ned and Peter's handshake was muscle memory. Him saying Peter like that was him connecting MJ calling Spider-Man Peter to this stranger.
This guy knows his stuff. This guy's cooking.
Smile of he remembers unless he thought that he does, but rather a smile of I'm building a new friendship. I'm no longer alone.
This guy gets it, bro.
Everything, and Ned, while not remembering, believes every single word, and they quickly go back to becoming best friends, and Ned goes back to being the guy in the chair, just now all without a shared history. As for MJ, my take on the Black Dahlia moment is that she always felt some sort of sentimental connection to the necklace, but doesn't really remember buying it and where it came from.
In the
now
next movie,
connects the dots to understand it's from Peter. She's beginning to feel some feelings, but it's complicated because she's dating Paul while falling in love with Peter. But since hearing "I don't love you," Peter has decided to move on. Even if deep down, he doesn't actually. Enter the Black Cat.
There she is. Oh, that final fan casting. She was amazing as Magic in that X-Men show. She can absolutely pull this off.
Timeline reboot opportunity to say that in this timeline, her name is Mary Jane Watson. It's always been Mary Jane Watson, and nothing else about her is different. Not that it really matters, since on screen she's always just called MJ. Anyways,
I don't understand.
In this timeline, her name is Mary Jane Watson. So we have the character drama, we have the Black Cat, the Fantastic Four, Daredevil, the symbiote suit, but we need a villain, and I would absolutely like to keep it street level, and certainly actually use a Spider-Man villain this time around, unlike Brand New Day. My first thought was the Kingpin, but quite frankly, after as many seasons as we've gotten with him as a big bad, I guess I'm just not as excited or even interested in that prospect anymore. He was already the mayor of New York.
Yeah, he did his thing. He was amazing in Batman Born Again. I don't want more.
Where else do you even take him? However, I do love the idea of the big bad being a mob boss or a crime lord, and I think they should use someone they've never used before.
I used to think this way, but that just wouldn't work on the big screen, man. That wouldn't be that hard. Even the Batman, one of the most grounded comic hero movies of all time, still had to go more extreme than just mob bosses. I don't think Destin himself wants to direct just like a mob boss fight. He wants better choreography.
With Ned Leeds as a part of this cast, we have a really good opportunity here to use a villain never used before in the Hobgoblin. The movies surround the mystery as to who he is. Is he Ned? Maybe an Osborn? Maybe one of the other alter egos of the Hobgoblin that would all be introduced.
I don't want them to go down the Ned is a villain route. I really don't.
Well, you'd have to watch the movie to find out. Finally, Tom Holland has talked about how he wants to introduce Miles Morales, and I think this is a great opportunity to do so. Aaron Davis as the Prowler will return after his
like how Insomniac Spider-Man did it. That would be really cool. Like, I wanna see Miles in live action. It's about goddamn time, but I don't wanna see him with his powers yet, though. That's gonna have to wait until at least the third movie. That would be awesome. I would love that.
And technically across the Spider-Verse, which could be referenced a bit, but we would also be introduced to his nephew, who is now a teenager and will soon be bitten by a radioactive
God, this
spider.
casting dude's gonna blow the internet up when it comes out. Who's gonna play Miles in the MCU?
Day, either brand new or what is the best fit day. And in that case, I like Spider-Man Night and Day, as it contrasts his day life and night life.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, him building a better balanced life.
And each movie, like Brand New Day, is named after a different story arc from the comics. And in that case, this movie would be called Spider-Man Identity Crisis. And as we go through this movie, you will soon
Identity Crisis. Yeah, he's doing it with symbiote stuff. That makes sense.
That is a perfect title. Let me know which title you would
prefer. Wow, he's cooking. I want boy.
And a huge thanks to the King tier members for the extra support.
That's a cool suit. I always on AI generated.
This video and
kind of looks AI.
early, so become a member today.
I know the black and yellow
color.
color.
How could this possibly all fit together? It sounds like a lot, right? Well, here is my plot breakdown for Spider-Man Identity Crisis.
Go on, let's see how cook.
für eine aus.
Spider-Man as he's in his regular costume and visits a dying kid who shows him his collection of
I'm sorry, I should have laughed at that. I'm sorry. I just like saying they got dying. My fault, bro. I'm sorry. Great to hell.
memorabilia, including images and newspaper clippings of when he fought the Vulture, the Rhino, the Beetle, and
that's
the
sweet,
Big
that's
Wheel.
great.
A few of the newspapers are from the Daily Bugle, and the images on the article say written by Phil Urich, who comic book fans will recognize as one of the many hobgoblins. The kid asks Spider-Man why he hasn't been around as much anymore, and
I wonder if he relates to Ben Urich
Peter
at all.
can't answer him. As he leaves, the symbiote suit envelops him, showing right off the bat that Peter is aware that the black suit is not as friendly to the neighborhood, but wears it anyway. Peter is called by Jean
Oh, good start. Very good start. One must be done plot development in this movie. It's an Spider-Man 2 kinda did it, but it was a little bit rushed. I wouldn't see this spectacular development of the symbiote suit taking over. And I thought that would be awesome.
A fight going down not too far
I don't know how they would make that in a movie, but
Daredevil beating on some thugs. Peter knows Daredevil on a first name basis and calls him Matt out loud as his identity is still public. We learn that the two of them have been working together to fight a gang war between Hammerhead and a mysterious new player with a hidden identity known as the Hobgoblin. This
I'm getting
Peter. Is he
spectacular
related to
Spider-Man
the Green
vibes here. I
Goblin?
like it.
Why is he called that? The ever-busy Spidey is then called away to the Baxter
God, that suit
building
looks
to discuss
gorgeous,
his
Spider-Man.
suit. Peter
Sheesh,
leaves
that
the
suit
suit
looks
with Reed
amazing.
to do some tests, but is called away when New York is attacked by a villain named Swarm. Reed remains to do tests, but Spider-Man is joined by the Human Torch, peckish for some action. Without the black suit, Spider-Man feels naked. He's gotten used to it and is now even reliant on it. So he struggles while Human Torch does most of the work. After defeating Swarm, they both return to the Baxter building.
This is good. This is very good. I'm seeing it, bro.
But Peter says that he has it under control. Frustrated, he takes the suit back. However, when Johnny lights his hand on fire, the symbiote causes Peter to recoil.
Yeah, a little sound.
In Brand New Day, Peter promised to begin balancing his life as Spider-Man with his life as Peter Parker. The issue with that is that it was a lot easier said than done. Even with his upgraded powers, the balance
for the love of God, do not just make him have friends now in the next movie. Let him slowly build it up.
Far less time as Spider-Man, and New York suffered.
Friday Day was so good, by the way. This is the greatest Spider-Man movie we'll find.
Suit up instantaneously and deal with criminals faster, allowing him the ability.
God, that's exactly how the suit should look. That suit looks gorgeous. That suit is perfect.
Well, that's how he justifies keeping the suit to himself as he swings over to Ned's apartment. However, when he enters, he sees that MJ is there with her boyfriend. He always tries to avoid him and always tries to avoid MJ when he's there. And MJ's boyfriend noticed this. This time, he brings it up. Peter explains it away before going to hang out with Ned in a different room. While he and Ned talk, we learn that the reason that Peter...
Why does Tom look photoshopped into his own body? That looks...
is avoiding MJ
that's all
and her
to
boyfriend
say.
is not because of the awkward tension that she is his ex and vice versa. It's because he discovered that his name is Harry Osborn and he does not like the implication. Peter brings up the Hobgoblin to Ned, but has suspicions that it is Harry. During this scene, Ned brings up that he's been trying to practice his magic ever since Peter reminded him of it. On the flip side, when Harry asks if there's anything going on between MJ and Peter, she can't give him...
we know he is not the actor of Paul. I don't really pay attention to his Facebook. He could definitely cross the Harry Osborn. He definitely could.
Tell him no. The next day, Spider-Man is celebrated at an NYPD event where he is introduced to Jean DeWolf's husband, Robert Kingsley, another one of the Hobgoblin's comic book alter egos.
This is interesting, but the issue with this having multiple Hobgoblins is you need to really early on establish to the audience. Because Spider-Man fans, brother, we are on other things. Stupid is one of them. We need exposition, we need information, we need to be told kind of like spoon-fed. This character could be a Hobgoblin. So every time we see one of them, we should like a spark or like a talk about like a bomb or just a little nudge towards, hey, maybe he's a Hobgoblin character. Because he's not that known of a villain. I only know Hobgoblin from the animated show Spider-Man. I've never really read comics on him. I've never really seen him in any games.
Let me make you a
new
one
really know
for
Hobgoblin.
free. Spider-Man declines the offer as his spider sense goes off. The celebration is interrupted by a gang battle. Spider-Man leaps into action and does his best to contain it.
Okay, just swear fighting, huh?
In the splash, Hobgoblin fights Hammerhead and kills him, cementing his place at the top.
Damn.
In the chaos,
Damn! On screen, you want a guy who died
is
like
shot,
that?
putting her in the
Sheesh.
hospital as Hobgoblin escapes.
What the fuck is
Enraged,
that?
Spider-Man meets
It's
up
why
with
it's just
Daredevil again, and
colorful.
the two do some sleuthing. They decide to do a full-on assault.
I hate that
with
Daredevil suit, by the way.
Spider-Man just
That's
feeling
too much red.
powerful enough with his upgraded powers and the symbiote suit to take on whatever is coming his way by himself. Daredevil introduces Spider-Man to a contact of his on the inside, Black
Of course, he knows Black Cat. Okay, man, I see you, bro.
Cat. Felicia Hardy gives information she has about the Hobgoblin.
I can't
His
believe you
identity
still
is
haven't seen
completely
Felicia in
unknown,
live
but she
action
knows
after
where they
so many
plan on
years.
doing their next deal. Felicia does
Oh,
not
yeah?
hide her desire for Spider-Man at all, and now that Peter has decided to move on, he might be a bit pulled in as well. Matt standing there as a third wheel to Peter and Felicia's flirting sounds like it would be like a good source of comedy. Tomorrow night,
yeah,
they strike. Before that, Peter does some freelance programming for money when he gets a knock on the door, and it's MJ. MJ wanted to
hi.
talk to Peter about her feelings. She cries about her missing memories and how they are affecting her, but
Wow.
Peter does not react well at all. Peter becomes angry. He lashes out at MJ for not allowing him to move on, and while MJ leaves, Peter instantly feels awful about it.
Nah, I like that Seattle.
It's now illegal.
I do not like this version of MJ being too emotional. I think she is really smart and that's her charm. She's very smart, she's very blunt. I don't like her getting all messy. And she can cry, that's completely fine. But I don't like the idea of like making MJ being like an emotional mess of a character. I don't like that at all. I don't think that even works for her comic counterpart, much as the MCU version. That's the first part of his fanfic, I guess, that I don't
That
like.
was so out of character. No point in dwelling on it now, though.
I get the point though, because it's the symbiote influencing him as a good representation, but I think we could do it better than that.
Goes off and the lights turn on. The duo find themselves surrounded by armed
Wait, what
men,
is that Prowler?
who works for the Hobgoblin,
Okay.
and the Hobgoblin
Oh,
himself.
I'm seeing it.
Hobgoblin has
That's
a very
great.
bulky armor.
But no, maybe not, because I don't want Fowler used for a Peter villain. I want Fowler saved up for Miles. I just feel like Miles doesn't have enough unique villains. And I think there should be a clear distinction between Spider-Man villains and Peter Parker Spider-Man villains and Miles Morales Spider-Man villains.
Hobgoblin laughs and taunts Spider-Man, acting as if he knows him and personally dropping key phrases in the dialogue with emphasis on words like May, Leeds, and Parker. Hobgoblin reveals that he fed Black Cat false information. He then creates a Doctor Strange-style portal and leaves, leaving Prowler to attack Spider-Man while Daredevil fights the thugs. Instead of fighting in unison, Spider-Man does everything himself.
We're gonna give Daredevil to like punish a role in this movie. I'm with it. Oh, it's his whip. Bro, you could have used something way better for a whip, bro. That does not look like a whip.
Just as violently takes out each one of the thugs, while the
That
Prowler
looks
talks about how much he
great,
hates
yo.
Spider people. Peter becomes paranoid. The Hobgoblin knows who he is,
Spider
and
people like
is
across
now
the
more
Spider-Verse
sure than
mention.
ever that he deliberately took his name from the Green Goblin, the man who killed his aunt. With this paranoia also fueled by the symbiote, Peter comes to a painful conclusion. Who else has Doctor Strange magic, knows his identity and his past? Who
I'm with
else
that.
But Ned Leeds.
I'm
Ned
with
opens the
that.
door to his
Crashing
room
out
to
on
find
Ned,
a
yes.
silent black suit Spider-Man standing there menacingly. Peter
Yes,
confronts Ned.
finally build some tension between these two. Again, I do not want Ned to be the villain of this dynamic at all, but I do want tension. They're sometimes
about
too
being
close
the
to each other.
Hobgoblin, but Ned denies it. Peter gets physical, and Ned begins to tear up in fear. Seeing the fear in his eyes, Peter drops him, looks at his hands, and swings away. Peter realizes
good. That's good. That is amazing. See, it kept Ned in character, and it kept Peter's symbiote arc very consistent. I really like that.
the symbiote must be affecting his personality.
That was amazing.
making
That
him
was
paranoid
S-tier
and
writing.
angry.
I really like
He
this.
lands on a building and tries to tear it off, but it doesn't want off anymore. He swings to the Baxter building, where he meets Reed and Johnny again,
Oh, I see the detail. This suit is kind of morphing.
and tells them everything.
I like it.
Peter remembers how the symbiote coiled in response to the Human Torch's fire, and so asks him to help him get rid of it. Peter is put into a cage so that the symbiote can't escape, and Johnny holds the flame near for like a minute while the symbiote begins to come off. But then, Peter receives a call from Ned. Reed Richards answers it, and allows Ned to talk. Ned begins to cackle and tells Peter he figured it out. Ned says he has MJ captive and will kill her unless Peter comes to face him alone. Realizing that the paranoia was not unfounded, that he was right, that he had a clear head. Peter stops the removal. Reed insists the symbiote be removed, but Peter refuses, breaking free of his cage, and weakened by the flames. Peter still manages to outmaneuver Johnny and Reed, leaving them both webbed up or knocked out. In the hospital, Jean
I like to fight. the Ned thing better be a
Wolf
good
lies
plot twist,
unconscious
because
with her
I'm
husband and
not
kids
on board
beside
yet.
her. In another room, Aaron Davis lies beaten. His brother Jefferson arrives with his
Again.
wife Rio
Oh,
and
this is how we see
14-year-old
him?
son Miles. Miles loves his uncle and excitedly hugs him before asking what happened. Aaron lies, saying he was mugged, but Spider-Man saved him. Miles, wearing a Spider-Man t-shirt, says that he is jealous. Jefferson, however, gives Aaron a stern look. Peter arrives at the agreed-upon location, a lab
Not
in
bad,
Queens.
not bad. That's a very good way of doing it.
Peter
How about
finds
that?
Ned standing alone, MJ, Harry, and Black Cat tied
this
up
better-
as hostages,
okay.
and the dead body of a
I assume this
scientist
is like the
lying
final
there in a
fight of
lab
the
with
movie.
tubes and
How the fuck did he capture Black Cat though? This is why having too many characters is tough to write around. The other one, Black Cat, have done practically nothing in his story, and I mean it's no fault to him as a creator or a writer, because he is making this like a 20-minute long video. The information from Black Cat needs to be involved, I feel like.
deformed
I
bodies
would rather see
inside
her
of
that
them.
much.
Finally is Ned, in regular clothing, standing all alone. Peter attacks Ned, but realizes quickly that something is off before he
Again,
does something
a
he'll
fight with
regret,
Ned?
thanks to his spider sense, or rather lack thereof. This Ned is not really a threat. In fact, it's not Ned at all. Peter rips the mask off to reveal the chameleon, working for the Hobgoblin. Oh, the real Ned, unconscious, and very
Interesting.
much not a threat. A giant
Not
screen
bad.
turns on to
I'm with
reveal the
that. That's
Hobgoblin the
interesting.
chameleon uses as a distraction to escape.
See, if you're gonna have Chameleon in this story, we could have had some. If we're gonna name the movie Identity Crisis, Chameleon could have done so much more, I'm not gonna lie.
Hobgoblin lured Spider-Man here to reveal something to him. He tells him to flip the scientist over, and Peter does so to reveal it's Miles Warren, a teacher of his from high school. Another person dead in Hobgoblin's wake. Hobgoblin invites Peter and the others to his headquarters, and then the screen shuts off. Peter gets angrier and the suit shifts because of it, and Felicia convinces Peter he needs to kill the Hobgoblin, and Peter, with now a slightly altered, venomy voice, agrees. MJ and Ned try to talk him out of it, but the cries
some more
fall on
Felicia
deaf ears.
action, not bad.
Spider-Man and Black Cat swing away. Harry realizes that MJ and Ned talk to Spider-Man kind of similarly to how they talk to Peter, and puts two and two together.
Yeah, he's supposed
Ned
to be
contacts
smart.
an ally to stop Spider-Man from doing something
mind
that
that.
he might regret. Aaron is called by Hobgoblin to return to the job, threatening his family if he doesn't. Aaron climbs out of bed
Again, I'm not with the Aaron stuff. He needs to be reserved for Miles.
but is followed by Miles. Everything converges.
Oh, making Miles too involved now. Making Miles way too involved. We shouldn't
At
know
the
about this
Hobgoblin's
stuff yet.
headquarters, Spider-Man and Black Cat arrive to find Hobgoblin just sitting there alone. Spider-Man attacks him, breaking pieces off of his bulky suit to reveal the more classic Hobgoblin suit underneath.
Okay, but what was the big plan of Hobgoblin here? Bro, relax. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm being a douchebag. Dude, it's just a fun, hypothetical writing. I don't have to be such a critical dumbass about it. It's a good story. I was just gonna say, why would Hobgoblin like lure them in here anyway? Like, what does he gain from it? But maybe he's gonna explain it.
Hobgoblin uses
The point is, it's supposed to be the final
fight
fight of the movie,
Black Cat
essentially.
takes care of some guards, and Daredevil shows up to stop Peter from delivering a fatal blow, trying to
I
talk him
don't
down
think
from
Matt Campbell was asked Daredevil. I don't think you can though.
But then
My
Prowler
God, you
shows up
should
to stop
follow you.
Daredevil, and Chameleon shows up to take on the Black Cat.
Okay.
Having followed him here, Miles finds out that his
Too much is
uncle is
happening.
the
Whoa,
problem.
okay. Whoa. Oh, me, I do it too much now. I hate to be a douchebag, but there is way too much happening in the final act. Chameleon, Prowler, Hobgoblin, the goons, like Daredevil, there's just too much happening
Peter's
now.
fight with Hobgoblin leads into another secret
It
lab,
would be
and
very tough to
Hobgoblin
direct
reveals
this
that
also. This will be like a 2000 animation where like you can't see go from scene to scene to scene to. I don't think
and
Dexter
the
would
other
want
one
that.
both belong to Miles Warren. Hobgoblin tells Peter that Warren figured out that Peter is Spider-Man all the way back in high school and became obsessed. Warren tried to clone Peter and was close to a perfect match when a spell erased his
we're
memory.
doing
That day,
clone
Warren
stuff
essentially
now?
woke up in a lab that he had no idea.
Dude, that's Chadco plotline that I do not want to explore at all in the MCU. That's way too messy.
It was all connected to his knowledge that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, so with that gone, he has no concept of this lab at all.
Yeah,
so in the confusion, Warren woke up one of the clones, the final clone. The Hobgoblin unmasks himself to reveal Peter, with a giant scar covering his face. This
Like, if you're gonna build up so many different characters to maybe this guy is Hobgoblin and none of them being the Hobgoblin. One of the worst things you can do as a creator, in my opinion, is feed people pieces to come up with theories, but then do a complete 180 and do something that was never foreshadowed or never shown in your previous story beats. Cause it just makes it feel like the audience wasted their fucking time. Also, it would be annoying for Tom to act all this out. There's a lot of logistic issues that this movie is already, this script is already considering, I feel like.
Clone. His memories of himself were taken away from him the moment he was born. He felt that the only way to get those memories back was to turn to magic, so he trained other sorcerers, but this still didn't work. But then, finally, the Doomsday arrives. The timeline was reset, and his existence confused the timeline. It returned all of his memories to him, allowing him to know everything that Peter does. Peter calls his clone insane, and he's not wrong, but Peter is not
is way too messy.
The influence of the symbiote, something that the Hobgoblin deliberately wanted to bring out of him. Their fight continues, breaking a case that had a spider in it that Warren was experimenting on.
No, not at all. No. Miles should not get his powers until the end of the third movie. That's just, look, we're not in any rush. That's way too fast.
Black Cat defeats Chameleon, who is disguised as Spider-Man. Daredevil defeats the Prowler, and the spider finds and bites Miles Morales before dying on his hand. And the clone, now calling himself Kane, thanks Peter for warming up his suit for him. Kane uses a spell to extract the symbiote suit from Peter. Peter screams in agony and in pain.
What? That's... Why? That's such a...
And emotionally, he does not want to lose the suit, but he can't stop it from attaching itself.
Wow! Absolutely not. You want him to become Venom with magic powers now? Like, that doesn't... What? Venom, be a destructive monster, is the most lazy version of Venom. And he's so much more fun as a darker, edgier Spider-Man. Not an evil Spider-Man, just an edgier Spider-Man. Those two are not the same thing.
To Kane. The symbiote has been strengthened by Peter's anger, enlarged by Peter's experience, and now, with the symbiote, he intends on killing Peter and then replacing him as the one true Spider-Man. But with his mind already broken and the symbiote not helping, he turns into a classic Venom. Their fight leads back to the other room where Daredevil and the Black Cat tried to help, but they were simply outmatched. However, their aid allowed Peter to focus on something else.
Oh my god, we are doing so much for this movie now. Black Cat, Chameleon, Prowler, Hobgoblin, Venom. That's too much.
Miles wearing the Spider-Man shirt.
Also Miles, of course.
Inspired by people's love for Spider-Man, takes the Spider-Man suit that Chameleon wore from him and suits up again to fight Venom. Their fight becomes more intense, more brutal, and larger as it causes massive damage and leads back into the city.
I'm with, but this is like a third movie thing.
Depth, but goes to get the assistance of those who aren't. Aaron wakes up and finds his nephew unconscious and rushes him to the hospital. Venom causes massive damage and Spider-Man struggles to keep up as they swing at top speed through the city.
I'm guessing Fantastic Four is gonna come in.
Recruits the Fantastic
No, again, how many final move fights are we gonna have in this movie? That's too much.
Reed begins work on a machine while Daredevil uses his super senses to direct Johnny to the
Dude, a Venom Spider-Man fight without Spidey beating Venom himself? No!
Spider-Man is knocked down by Venom and stays down for a moment until Black Cat pulls him up. Black Cat reminds Spider-Man that he is Spider-Man, he doesn't need the suit, he never did. She kisses him, and Peter locks back in just as the Human Torch and Daredevil arrive. Spider-Man and the Human Torch team up against Venom while Daredevil and Black Cat do their best to save people from the damage caused by the fight.
Also, Daredevil being a sideline character like that wouldn't work.
They need to lure Venom to the Baxter building. They do exactly this. Venom is led into a sonic trap, and while held by Reed's body, Peter's webbing, and Johnny's flames, the symbiote is detached from Kane and leaps towards Peter. In that moment, Peter is bloody and bruised, and he thinks back to every single time he was beaten down and defeated, how much easier it was with the symbiote. But then he thinks back to the moment where he met the sick kid. When he first arrived, he was wearing the black suit over the red suit, and the kid was terrified. He doesn't need the suit, he never did. Peter dodges the symbiote and tells Johnny to burn it, and he does exactly that. Kane begins to wake up, but it's revealed that he is dying. Reed scans him, and the scans show that he has no arachnid DNA, no magical traces, and his DNA is falling apart. The symbiote sapped everything, and his clone DNA,
dude, I don't care for this guy. I'm not gonna cry for him. I just don't care.
Broken parts. He tears up and starts talking like how Peter sounded at 14, remembering nothing but the days leading up to when Warren stole his DNA. Dying in Peter's arms, the clone asks Peter if
What?
May is okay. Peter is
Oh, why
shocked,
is this guy
but
recording
lies
this on
and
my phone
says,
today?
yes, May is fine. The clone tears up again and says, oh God, he died, it's my fault. Peter asks who, and Kane says, Uncle Ben, I could have saved him. I didn't.
Whoa! Dude, this is a clone that the audience has no emotional connection with whatsoever. Making him drop Uncle Ben's name for the first time in the MCU is such a waste. No.
And then he passes away. Peter tears up as well. He tried to suppress the memory for years. He will never forget the day that he learned when you could do the things he can, but you don't. And then the bad things happen. They happen because of you. In the aftermath, Spider-Man says sorry to Ned and MJ, and they understand. As they speak alone, MJ reveals that she and Harry broke up because he thought that she was in love with Peter, and MJ says that he was right. Peter feels his heart jump. He realizes that he never truly moved on, and they kiss. Spider-Man...
No, I was gonna say, don't make them kiss. Because there was no build-up in this movie
tells her
for
he
them.
doesn't think they should be together, but they agree to be friends, partners in crime fighting.
That's
At the Baxter
fine.
building, Ben and Sue
with
return
that.
from while we see a piece of the symbiote, having survived, slithering away. Spider-Man visits Jean DeWolf in the hospital to give her flowers. Robert offers him a new suit again, but Peter says that he likes this one, and he's going to stick to it. Miles wakes up in the hospital to his parents beside him. He asks about his uncle, and we cut to Aaron being escorted through customs at a Supermax facility. We see Daredevil hanging on a church cross, listening to the city. He hears a scream and
that
jumps
seems like
into action.
classic
Peter
Netflix
visits
stuff. I don't
Aunt
mind
May's
that.
grave again, but this time it zooms out to reveal 2 new gravestones. One of them that's always been...
No, dude! You're gonna wanna have a clone that deeply connected to these. Also, Ben Parker's only being there when we didn't see him in the last movie. Why would then have the with great power comes great responsibility code when May said it in the MCU? That doesn't... I don't understand this obsession that Spider-Man fans have with then Uncle Ben being such a prominent character in the MCU also. This is an alternate story. It doesn't have to follow exactly the footsteps of the comics. For all we know, Ben didn't exist in the MCU. And that's fine because May does his role way better anyway. All Uncle Ben is just a little father figure that dies in the comics. That's all he is. No matter how much you try to say otherwise, that's all Ben was. He's just a plot device. May has a much deeper connection with Peter. She's a much better representation of a guardian dying on your hand because you messed up and couldn't help, because you actually feel the connection that May and Peter have together. It's like a motherly bond. Ben wasn't in the MCU, and that's fine. His origin isn't just Ben anymore. It's Iron Man. It's his Spider brothers with Toby and Andrew, and also May. He has a much more convoluted origin story with his first original trilogy. We don't need to eradicate all of that just because in the comics and in the usual Spider-Man story, Ben Parker exists. It's like, no, fuck that. Like, we don't need him in every story where we had a much more convoluted origin story in the MCU. We don't need him. It's not necessary at all.
Belonging to Kane Parker. Spider-Man meets the dying kid again. This time, he reveals his identity to him and tells him to promise not to tell anyone. The kid hugs Spider-Man, and the movie comes to an end. An end credit scene would tease Spider-Man 6, which, I mean, as the 6th entry in the franchise, it simply must feature the Sinister Six. This end credit scene shows an underground bunker with a bunch of screens, each showing a different fight that Spider-Man had, with the primary screen showing him fighting Dr. Octopus, and then switching to his more recent fight with Venom. A man grumbles and a tentacle arm smashes the screen, creating a broken shard look around Spider-Man's face. Spider-Man will return. A few years later, we get either Spider-Man Ends of the Earth, or if we're still doing the day thing, then Spider-Man Darkest Day. Potentially Tom Holland's final Spider-Man movie as the MCU goes on. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.
I don't want that to be a final movie. I'm greedy.
Watch this one next.
Okay, that was very nice. That was I'm sorry if I sounded too harsh there. It's the autism in me. I think that's coming out. But sorry if I came across like very harsh in this reaction video. I don't know why I became so pretentious while reacting to this. I don't know. I feel like the best way to react on YouTube is to give your genuine opinion and not just like watch the video on the background while like pausing every now and then, just say something for the sake of saying something. I was very honest and genuine. I'm sorry if that offended anybody, especially the creator of this video, but you also had the video on YouTube. That means you are open to criticism. Appreciate it much, NyxFam. Tell me, how do you want Spider-Man 5 to be? Until next time, lighting out.